Republicans in the state of Florida will do anything to protect their dearest Donald Trump, and one Republican state senator by the name of Ileana Garcia this week put forward legislation, because the Florida legislature recently started their session last week. So this week, she puts forward legislation that would allocate $5 million in state funds, money that comes from Florida taxpayers like me, $5 million to cover Donald Trump's legal fees. And here is why she said she wants people like me to pay an alleged billionaire's legal fees. She said, "We're in the midst of an historic moment when we're watching an election that's trying to be stolen by left-wing prosecutors, the Biden administration, and even blue states. They're not trying to win at the ballot box. They're trying to keep President Trump off the ballot by weaponizing the courts. Having a Floridian in the White House is good for our state, and anything we can do to support Florida presidential candidates like President Trump will not only benefit our state, but our nation." So you're going to tell me that a dude that's lived in the state of Florida on and off for only 3 years, like you consider that a Floridian? The guy has lived in New York his entire life. He goes back to New York frequently. He still actually has a residence there. He lives half the year at his golf club down here in Florida. Don't you dare call him a Floridian, and I am saying that as a lifelong Floridian. That pisses me off. That's a personal thing. Sorry. Trump, he may act like a Florida man, but he's no Florida man, right? Second thing, this piece of legislation in the Senate is also supported by Florida's Republican, of course, chief financial officer. So the CFO of the state of Florida backs this legislation, saying, hell yeah, let's give money to Donald Trump so he can fight his legal fees, even though he's not even using the alleged $1 billion that he has. He's just using his supporters' money to pay all his legal fees anyway, so it's not even coming out of his pocket. But let's make people like me, people like my coworkers, people like my parents and my sisters, let's make those people pay Donald Trump's legal fees. In this story, an unlikely hero has emerged. Because on Monday evening, this story was, of course, going around social media, and none other than Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced that he would, in fact, should this piece of legislation actually get passed by the House and Senate, he said he'd veto it. So even though DeSantis had only dropped out of the race a day prior and endorsed Donald Trump, he is still bitter enough to come out and say, you do this, you try to pay his legal fees, I will veto it, because as he said, I hold the veto pen. So this is the first time, probably the only time I will ever say thank you, Ron DeSantis. Because I would be beyond pissed off if you used a penny of my tax dollars to pay for Donald Trump's legal fees. This is absurd. He's got more than enough of other people's money to pay his legal fees. That money, that $5 million you want to allocate towards Trump, it could be used to do so many things here in Florida. We have schools that are literally crumbling. Our roads all throughout the state, from Northwest Florida all the way down to the Keys, they're crumbling, they're falling apart. Everything's always under construction because it's never quite fixed because we don't invest the money to do it. $5 million would certainly help get a couple stretches of road built. Not all the state, obviously. But there's better things we could do. Honestly, if you took $5 million, put it in a barrel, and lit it on fire, I'd be more okay with that than I would with you giving it to Donald Trump. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.